Welcome to The Author's Journey with #1 international best-selling author and in-demand publisher, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. Today, we'll showcase the works of an amazing best-selling author, find out the story behind their book, and explore ways to bring your message powerfully forward. Now, here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone, to The Author's Journey. We are honored to have you joining us today, where we have candid conversations with authors that have recently brought their books forward, and they have been released into the world in such a way that they have become a bestseller or above. And they take time out of their busy schedule, because right after launch is a busy, busy time, to stop and really share some of the journey with us, what they discovered, what they learned, what surprised them on the journey, and what even their favorite part of bringing the book forward was. So very excited to have all of you joining us today. I know you're going to enjoy meeting our beautiful author as she shares some of her journey with us. And her particular journey includes, I summarize it as a survivor to thriver, because she came through all different types of abuse and has not only overcome that, but has really reached a place where she is thriving and now reaching out and helping others. So very excited to have her joining us today. I know you will be richly blessed by what she has to say and to share during our conversation today. To get the most out of our time together, I always encourage you to take a deep breath. I feel like we move so fast that we forget to breathe deeply. We forget to be truly present. And that's how you can get the most out of our conversation today. Have a paper and pen ready. Take those deep, beautiful breaths all the way to your toes. And choose to be fully present, opening your ears to hear, your eyes to see new things, your heart to discover things that can help you bring your story forward, really sharing what you are called to bring forward in the world. So with that, I am excited to introduce our beautiful guest. Shirley Buck is an international best-selling author, an abuse and trauma survivor turned mindset coach. She is passionate about empowering others in their path to recovery. She's a Reiki healer, mindset coach, and dynamic speaker. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and inspirational Shirley Buck to the show. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Rebecca. I'm really excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you joining us today, and I look forward to our conversations. I'm glad that you were able to make time for us today, and because I know it's such a busy time in the middle of your books coming out, your print book, all the different formats, and just all of the speaking and interviewing and such that follows. So I'm very honored to have you with us today. And I wanted to start with why this work of helping people in all these different ways, why is that personally so important to you?
Well, I myself went through depression, anxiety, fear. I went through a nervous breakdown. I went through a lot of different stages that you go through after experiencing trauma and abuse, and I experienced it for many years. So I'm very grateful to be on the other side of it, and I feel like it's my purpose to help others come through it, but not only come through it and cope and be okay. I want them to be happy and joyful and successful and in spite of anything that had happened to them.
Well, thank you for sharing, and I celebrate that you are on the other side and now able to help others and hopefully have their journey be easier for the assistance that you're able to bring in and provide. And I'm curious, why a book? Why did you feel led and called to create a book? And how long did it go from the idea being planted to actually bringing the book forward?
Many, many years. Even back when I was 18, people heard my story and said, wow, you have to write a book. And this was at an early stage in my life when some abuse was still going on. Healing had not really begun. So if I had written the book then, I don't feel like it would have served its purpose. So for many, many years after that, I've had many people tell me to write a book. And I think people had seen that I had a story, and they seen that I had achieved happiness and success in raising a wonderful, beautiful family in spite of the abuse and trauma. But I just wasn't ready. I would try to sit down and write it, and it just wouldn't come out. It just wouldn't work. And one time I was just talking to a client, and she said, you need to write a book. And I said, you know what, you're right. And for some reason, I feel like it was just time. I think the universe said, okay, this is the time. And I sat down, and it just went very smoothly, actually.
And how long ago was that you finally decided, it is time? I'm curious.
I think it was about 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. Yeah, and it was a journey deciding how I was going to go about that. But thankfully I found you, someone I trusted, and made me feel comfortable and safe, and it made the journey a lot easier.
Was honored and am honored to be on the journey with you and to help be part of that process to bring it forward and really be birthed into the world and reach so many people. And I'm curious, when you started to write it, you knew it was time. Did you instantly go out and start seeking help, or did you just allowed the next step to come? Because I feel like sometimes people are like, it's time, they start writing, and then they don't know what to do next. So I'm curious what your process was.
I just started writing. My friend who introduced you to me, I talked to you early on in the stages, and you gave me a lot of advice on writing that was very helpful, although I didn't decide right away how I was going to go about publishing it. I think it was a year later that I talked to you again and said, yes, I'm ready to go with you and publish this book. So it was a process of writing. I had to go through and write all the facts before I could actually experience the emotions I was feeling and write them down. So I kind of did it in that order. I went and I wrote out the facts, and then I went back to really relive it and feel the emotions and see the colors that were there, and to really describe it. That was probably the hardest part of the book. But I don't think I went out and sought too much help. I pretty much went with my intuition, and then knew it was you that I would go to with it when I was done.
Well, thank you for sharing. I love that, because I'm always open to having those calls and helping authors out there bring their stories forward. I think it's so important. And I don't always know what happens after that conversation, because sometimes there's another conversation down the road. Sometimes they're, led in a different direction. It's all good. What's important to me is that they authors find a way to bring their stories forward, because I feel like they're needed. There's a reason they feel that urgency to bring it forward. So I love that was supportive of you. And as you're sharing how you went through and you wrote the facts down, and then you went back and felt the emotions and brought some of that in. And there was a lot that you had gone through in your life, a lot of trauma. Those things were probably difficult to revisit. How did you support yourself through it so you didn't get stuck? You were able to keep going?
Well, in the process of my healing, I had learned to change my mindset, control my thoughts. That was very helpful. I had created a 90-day course myself that I had to go back to and do over. So controlling my mindset was one of the ways, but it was also super important to have my children and my grandchildren present in my life, and they're present in my life pretty much daily. We talk on the phone, we text. I spend 2 days a week with my grandchildren, and my grandchildren, they were a way of keeping magic and laughter and, adventure in my life and keeping me here when I had to go back there. So supportive people is important, and learning mindset. I mean, learning to change your mindset, to live in gratitude, be childlike, take ownership. All of those things are super important.
Well, I love that you walked the talk. You went back and revisited your program. You built those things in your life to support you so you didn't get stuck and you didn't get pulled into that, because it can be a bit of an abyss for some people, and you were able to continue to move it forward and bring it forward. So I'd love for you to share, what is the title of your book, and what do you hope people discover in leaning in and reading it?
The title is Sweet Freedom Whispered in My Ear. And freedom is if anyone gains a little freedom from this, from the pain, freedom from the thought process that you have to endure when you do go through trauma and abuse, I hope that people acquire hope and inspiration and freedom from the chains that hold them to the past. I hope that sharing my story gives someone the courage to say, hey, I want to change my life, and now I know it's possible because if she did it, so can I. So that's super important to me.
Thank you for sharing. I always think it's so, as a reader, I always love to know why. Why did someone bring a book forward? What was their intention? What was their hope? Because to me, that energy gets woven into the book and you can feel it. And it's so nice to know that care, that support, that encouragement is woven into your powerful book. And I love your cover. It's very dramatic, and I feel like it illustrates your story. Do you mind describing it?
Yes, it's like a young girl, she looks kind of abused and tattered and sad, and she's standing in a room that's kind of dingy and falling apart and not a really warm surrounding, but she's looking in the mirror, and then the reflection is an older version of herself walking away, but kind of glancing over her shoulder a bit, but with a happy gait. She's kind of walking away, like she's experiencing the freedom of walking away from the trauma and abuse and becoming a happy person. Mm-hmm. I think that describes it pretty well.
Yes, and I love there's, a bright sky on the outside, that she's not looking back, she's looking forward as she walks away. To me, she has confidence and a bounce in her step and looks free and vibrant.
Right, yes.
As she walks away. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do love the cover quite a bit. And as I was falling asleep one night, I got the idea of the mirror and the reflection, and with the help of your team, we came up with a perfect cover. So I was very happy with it.
I'm so glad. That cover is so important because it's the container of the book and it's the bridge between the reader and your message. So I'm so glad you love it. And I feel like it's very powerful and will definitely speak to people and connect with them that will be served by your book. So our beautiful listeners out there, I just feel like you've gotten some really great tips. I just want to underline a few of them that we have already shared. That one thing I heard Shirley share is that lots of people said it's time, you need to write your story for many years, but she waited until she knew it was time and then honored that, leaned in, and it flowed. And then she looked for help. She trusted her intuition in that. She brought in support as she was going through some hard things, revisiting some really challenging things to be able to share their journey with the reader. and that she brought in support and gave herself support and stayed grounded and connected with her family so she didn't get stuck, and she was able to keep moving forward to bring the book forward, that she leaned into really holding space for that cover that was right for her book and her message. And I think that's really great advice and powerful. And just as you look back on the journey, Shirley, do you have a tip that you would give any writer out there that is looking at bringing their story forward?
I think you covered it when you said to wait until you feel ready. Like in your heart, when you're ready, I think the writing flows a lot easier, because I've tried a few times before I was ready and it just didn't flow. It just wouldn't come out. And I think it's important to feel and I don't know, maybe take the time to honor your decision, be proud of yourself. Don't be hard on yourself when you do get stuck. Don't be hard on yourself when you have some doubt. Just be easy with yourself. Give yourself the understanding and compassion you'd give somebody else. Maybe that's one of the tips.
Well, I think that's
I know
great.
It was healing for me to write this book, because being vulnerable takes a lot of strength, and it was a little scary to think, oh man, my whole life is going to be out there. But it also gives me a sense of I didn't live that life in vain. I'm now able to help others through it, and it's just really amazing to be able to write whatever you're writing. It's just an amazing experience, and just be easy on yourself I think is important.
Thank you for sharing. I love that. Be easy, extra kind, and supportive of yourself. And I love that you were also suggested being honored and proud, and carve that time out, honor that time, honor that commitment, that willingness to say yes and to bring your story forward. I think that's important too. Well, thank you, Shirley. We are getting ready to go to our first commercial break. And as we do so, listeners, I encourage you to stay present and write down some thoughts that are bubbling up as you are taking in all that Shirley has shared. And we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Streaming live. The leader in Internet talk radio. VoiceAmerica.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed those couple of moments to just take a breath and really digest all that is being shared and seeing what's kind of bubbling up within. Sometimes we're moving so fast, we're forgetting to breathe deeply. So I always encourage deep breaths throughout the show. And we can be so distracted by everything around us that we forget to stop, pause, and listen. So I encourage you, as you hear what Shirley is saying, take those moments to hear how that strikes a chord in you. What does that mean to you? What is that touching and bringing forward? One of the things she mentioned is that early on in the process, she and I had a conversation, and we talked about writing and gave some tips on that. And I wanted to share a resource to really help any of you out there, wherever you are in your journey of writing, to help support you. Maybe it's, I know it's time, now what? Or myths and truths about writing and publishing. What is a launch? Do I want to do that? All of the things that were asked frequently in those consultations and conversations, we've created a resource called the Emerging Author Series with an S. You can find it at emergingauthorseries.com, and you can download, it's our gift to you, any of those books. They're little ebooks, about a chapter in length on each of those different subjects, from giving you format to directions to things to consider when you're thinking of publishing, how to bring your book forward, all those things. So I encourage you to lean in, and my hope is that those resources help you bring your story forward, because it's absolutely needed in the world for such a time as this. So honor that pull. You can go to emergingauthorseries.com and tap into those beautiful resources. We have been talking with Shirley, and she's been pulling back the curtain and sharing some of what the journey was like and how she knew it was time and then honored that. And that by honoring the timing, she found that it flowed, but having support around her was really important to be able to relive some of the emotions and bring some of those elements into the book. She made sure to build a lot of support around her in the process. And when she released the book, it became a #1 bestseller in the U.S. It hit best-selling status in Canada, so it became an international bestseller, 18 different best-selling categories between the two countries. Really powerful response, and it continues to ripple out into the world. So as you look back on that, as your book got out there, it became an international bestseller. We got to see it start to touch people's hearts and lives, both from the advanced readers to as it rippled out into the world. Do you have a favorite moment that you... Well, actually, before we get to favorite moment, what was that like? What was it like to bring your book forward like that?
Well, I kind of went into it with I didn't hold any expectations. I just really went into it like I was meant to do this, and the people who are meant to read it will read it, and the people it needs to get to, it will, and I just kind of let go and didn't really put too much expectation into it. But I was very excited when I started to hit those marks, because I knew that it was reaching people, and that was important to me. So it really it was exciting. It really was, and to share that news with my family and friends, I think they're more proud than even I am. They just feel they're just amazing with being supportive and encouraging, and it's really amazing.
I love it. I can hear the smile in your voice. Their celebration of you and your book and its success. And when you look back on the journey from start to where you are now, because I know the journey continues, but is there a favorite moment that stands out, or an experience you had that just you treasure on the journey?
Yes, just a small little moment where I was putting my grandson in his car seat to take him to school, and he said, "Ma," he calls me Ma instead of Grandma. "Ma, can you help me write a book?" And I said, "Of course." I said, "Did you know that Ma has a book for sale on Amazon? She wrote it, and it's on Amazon." And he went, "Whoa, that's so cool." I think that was my favorite moment. Just that my grandson thought that was so cool. That was my favorite.
Oh, I love it. And I like how this is continuing the journey in the family.
Yeah. Oh, he's, for some reason, nonstop making little books. It's really cute.
Oh, I love that. So he's a writer in the making.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Yes, he is. Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. How old is your grandson, if you don't mind sharing?
He's 5. He's
5. Oh, I love that. So early, he knows.
Yeah, he knows. He knows a lot. It's kind of surprising, but yeah, it's really fun, and it just meant so much to me when just seeing him go, "Whoa!" That was my most favorite part.
Oh, thank you for sharing that with us today. I love it. Beautiful. Well, as you look back on our conversation, and we've been talking about what the journey has been like for you and how the book has started to go out there and reach people's hearts and lives, including your family, as they come alongside and celebrate and are following your legacy now. I love that. Even at such a young age, you're creating a legacy like that. Is there, I guess, additional things and programs or ways that you are also, in addition to your book, touching people's lives, things that we can follow about you or be aware of, so we can stay in the loop with you and all that you're doing?
My website, shirleybuck.com. It's Redleaf Healing, Redleaf Alternative Healing is the name of my business, but my website is shirleybuck.com, and I am also now a mindset coach, and I have a 90-day course to help people overcome trauma and abuse and setbacks and, just to learn self-love, empowerment, how to train your mind to serve you better.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And what is the best way for people? Is that the best way for people to connect with you or follow you? Or are there some additional ways we should know about as well? I want everyone to be able to find you easily.
I have a Facebook community group that you can ask to join, and that is Redleaf Healing. And it's a group on Facebook. That's one way to find me. But I think the best way to find me is shirleybuck.com.
Okay. Perfect. And then do you mind sharing the title of your book again and where we can find it and the formats it's available, just so people have all of that information in case they missed writing any of it down?
Sweet Freedom Whispered in My Ear. It's available on Amazon, and it's available in hard copies, paperback, and digital.
Beautiful. So we can all lean into our favorite way of reading and enjoying. So that's wonderful on Amazon, which is great. And I love, in time for the holidays, because I know that's also when things can get charged sometimes and things can come up, and how wonderful to know you have a program that can be leaned into, this beautiful book to support us on our journey. As you reflect back on our conversation today, I just wanted to see if you had a reminder on your heart or a message or a tip you could give us as we lean into our journey and are looking to step forward powerfully and with that freedom that you talk about.
I really just want everyone to know that no matter what you've been through, you can overcome it and become happy and joyful. You can change your life. And it may sound cliche, if you change your life, if you change your mind, you can change your life. But it is a very true statement, and it is very possible. I'm living proof. If you read my book, you'll see what I've been through and see what I have overcome. And even if it's not me helping you, you can. If you will it, you will find a way. And the right opportunities will come to you to help you change your mindset, change your life, and be free of it.
Thank you. Thank you for that encouragement. Thank you for that wisdom. I appreciate the time that you have taken with us today to just share some of what it's like to bring your book forward, what you discovered, and your beautiful wisdom to encourage and inspire us. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today. Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. I really am honored to be here as well.
Oh, thank you. We're honored and excited, and I know that your words are touching listeners as we speak and as this goes out on the airways. And listeners, I want you to take a few moments at the end of today's show and really write. See what's bubbling up as you hear Shirley's words and you let them pour into your heart, into your spirit. And that reminder that you can have that freedom, you can move forward powerfully and dynamically. And we shared a resource earlier in the show, the emergingauthorseries.com, to support you on your journey. But I also was thinking some of you may feel a call to speak, to share your message, to be interviewed, to be perhaps a guest on a show like ours. And if that is the case, you're feeling that pull, I wanted to share another resource with you. It's called the Speaker Talent Search, and you can find details at speakertalentsearch.com. And this is part of our give back. It's part of a way that we lean into self-support messengers to get on more stages to bring their messages forward. So I encourage you to check it out and find a way to bring forward all that you've been given. That those of you who have had a challenging journey, that you have survived this far and can help others on their journey as well. I like how Shirley shared that, I didn't go through all of that in vain, that I survived and it can make a difference for others and I can encourage. And she was willing to share her journey to encourage every reader out there who leans into her message. You can have that very same impact with your journey. So be willing to share, keep reading, keep writing, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to The Author's Journey. Please join Rebecca Hall Gruyter for another edition of the Author's Journey podcast every Monday on the Voice America Variety Channel. And until we talk again, use some of the tips and inspiration from today's show to guide you as you lean in to bringing your message forward.